Hi, everybody. It's Friday. I may have been a little bit late because as I was sitting here waiting for 1 o'clock to roll around, I got caught up in a book, which I had shown y'all a couple weeks ago that I bought this at the recommendation of Mary Ellen. But then for some reason, because I was busy reading another book at the time, which is still in here, and I have finished it. The book, Brooklyn, which I finished. I don't know why it's still in here. Anyway, and then after I finished that, I moved on to other things. And so I never did come back to Theo of Golden. So now I will probably do that because I was just reading it again now and was all in it. So let me put a little bookmark in there and I'll start reading that later or finish reading it because I've already started it. How is everybody today? I saw earlier Valera was here. Hello, Valera and Cindy B. And Anne. I'm going to list everybody's names today. Donna. Hello, Donna. From Gulfport, indeed. Katrin. That's where my mom is at. I told you that, right? In fact, did you meet my mom the other weekend? I think you did. I don't remember. I know some people met her because she came over to see us at the common thread. Anne, did I say hi, Anne? Hello. And Karen from Tulsa. Hello, Tish. The first day of spring, indeed. Does it feel like spring where y'all are at? In the mid 40s? Oof. Okay, you did meet my mama. Very good. All right. So, what shall we talk about first? I know what I want to talk about. So last weekend, y'all, we went to Alabama, Fairhope, Alabama, which sits down. There's a little bay that comes up out of the Gulf, and Fairhope sits right on top of it. It's not that far out of Florida, actually. And it is the friendliest town I think that I've ever been into. Although I have to say, when I was much younger, I did spend a tiny bit of time in Arkansas, and people there were super friendly. It was in rural Arkansas, visiting a family friend. But in my adult life, Fairhope is the friendliest town. I kid you not, y'all. We got there Friday, right? It was Friday afternoon. And we got there before Southern Twist Yarns closed for the day. That's where we were doing our trunk show on Saturday. So we went and spoke to the owner, Brenda, briefly checked out the shop to make sure it was set up the way we thought it was. And, we would set up on Saturday the way we wanted. And all of her customers, by the way, are just top-notch people. I tell you what, amazing. But we leave there. And it's still afternoon and we got some time to spare before dinner. So we walk around, we go into this antique mall and cozy little place. It was pretty big actually, but it was cozy and really neat. And I kid you not, Bo and I heard the same bits of conversation because we were talking about it later. We only heard parts of it, and I think we came in at the end. These two women who were previously strangers, but one of them had just moved into town or something. Basically, the other one invited her to come stay with her. And then that's not all. If we need further proof, Saturday morning, before, we got up early and wanted to go get breakfast. And so we had asked Brenda where was a good place to get breakfast. She recommended a place. So we go. As we're walking in, this gentleman is walking up and he's talking about how he wanted to meet. He was there to see some pilots. They were, they owned, I think they were, what do you call them? Those supersonic jets, privately owned supersonic jets, but he had seen them at the airfield. And so he knew they were going to have breakfast at this place. So he was coming to ask them what time they were leaving because he wanted to watch them take off. But what was incredible was we get seated, Bo and I, and he comes in and he tells the guy, I just want to get some coffee because I'm waiting for the pilots to show up. This woman across from us says, well, why don't you come sit with me while you're waiting? I'm waiting for my friend anyway. So he sits down, perfect stranger, and they start chatting. We can overhear everything they're saying. And Bo and I are just like, because that just doesn't happen around here. Not that people are rude. I don't know, we're just more respectful. I think we see it as we're being respectful of each other's space and all of that. I don't know. But anyway, this town, I'm not kidding, friendliest people ever, ever. So it was lovely, very lovely. Hey, Sue, I'm glad to see you on here. And 91 degrees in Tulsa. Whoa, that's warmer than us. Bo did say it was warming up out there, but the house hasn't figured it out yet. So, which is why I'm wearing my basic Henley because I was chilly. Plus, now I'm drinking an iced coffee that Morgan made for me, which will just add to it. So, yeah. Yes, thank you all so much for your thoughts and prayers about Bo. It does seem to have been a medication, which he switched out and has not been having dizzy spells. So, yeah, good, much better. I did buy some things at Southern Twist Yarns. So, one of them is, and I don't know if these are on her website or not. Some of them I know she just put out, but one of her customers is named Kathy, and she makes these beautiful stitch markers. There were some that were stitch marker sets. This one, a little bit of a glare on that plastic, but Brenda was saying that she tends to use semi-precious stones and stuff. And so I couldn't resist. I had to get one of her stitch markers. This is for me, so I'll go ahead and open it. Let's see there. You can see how pretty is that little beauty. So yeah, I'm excited. And it's red. So yeah, I was excited to, of course, support someone local and but also to get a beautiful stitch marker. And then I also got these. All right. I don't know about y'all. I have always had a weakness for the Floops stitch markers. There for a while, you couldn't get them. I think Stephen West had mentioned them. And so they were super popular. Everybody was sold out. But I guess there you can find them again. And they've apparently got some new things. So I'm very excited about these. These are basically flexible stitch markers. They're perfect for picking up, like if you've dropped a stitch down and you need to hold on to it. They're perfect for that. They're perfect for, you can, make a stitch marker out of it. Or if you can even technically use these. Ooh, I hadn't thought about that. You can use these as cable needles because they're flexible. But most cable needles are so slick because I do so much cabling, but they're so slick that it's like, oh, you got to hold the stitches. Don't fall off the cable needle. Whereas these offer a little bit of resistance. And so I'm excited to use those. The other thing that I got, and this I'm going to give away. It's called Flocks, and it's flexible. So this centerpiece straightens out if you want it to. And I have some of these, except what I like about this one, I should have gotten two so that I could give one away and keep one. But what mine have a wooden end. These now have metal. So I like to use these. You can use them as cable needles. One of the things that I use mine most often for is if I'm making a pair of socks and it's different in the sense that it's not my usual fingering weight yarn vanilla sock pattern. If you have to try on a pair of socks and you're using the shorty needles, you know that when you go to try on your sock, your stitches are going to come flying off the needles because they're too short. Well, if you'll pass on some of your stitches onto here and use it as like a stitch holder, it's perfect because you can just put on a handful of stitches, try on your sock, and then slide your stitches back onto the needle. So I'm going to give this baby away. And all you have to do, any comments today on the video or throughout until next week, next Friday. No, not next Friday. I guess in 2 weeks, I'll pick a winner for somebody to get this. And I don't know if these are readily available or not. Haven't seen them much. But anyway, so yeah. So that's that. And then I think my favorite purchase is this. So these are, let's see, if they have a fancy name for them. They're just called stud buttons because it's a stud. basically what you've got is a set of buttons that you can put onto your cardigan. So if you don't want to, and even if you do have a button band, but let's say you don't want to put buttons on, or you don't want to mess with the button, making the buttonholes. I said button band. You probably should have a button band if it calls for one. But if you don't want to make the holes, or you don't want to sew buttons onto your piece, these are basically makeshift buttons. So this goes on the front, and then this holds it in place on the back. And see that? So I got and they have all different styles. It's from Jewel Designs. Y'all are probably familiar. They've been around for a long time, the Jewel brand, and they make all sorts of shawl pins and things like this. And I knew that they had made these buttons, but I just hadn't really thought about it. But I think I'm going to use that on my cardigan. So I'll show y'all that later. But yeah. Because I get tired of, I get tired. I do it so often, but sewing on buttons is not really my favorite thing to do. And so to have a set of buttons that you can just put on your piece and even interchange them between pieces, it's perfect. Let's see. Katrin says, well, that's cool. The flax thing. Yes, not I gotcha. But thank you for clarifying, because you know how I am. Y'all know me so well. Yes, Diane, get a bad reaction. Yeah, if there's a bad reaction to be had to a medication, Bo's gonna get it. He's very funny. It's like kind of like magnesium. A lot of people take magnesium before they go to bed because it helps them to sleep better. Now, Bo, if he takes it before bed, so, okay. Moving on, I hope all the monthly mini color clubs have been received. It's been a while since I sent them, since I was out of town last week. So I'm going to show you what it was for, what month are we in? March. I named it I Glove You because you got a beautiful aqua glove. But last month's colorway was kind of an aquamarine color, so I didn't want to go that route. And so instead, I did these browns, and oh, my face is really getting in there. And then some of that pretty pink, deep rose colored speckles on there. And some of the skeins got more of the rose speckling than others, but yeah, so that's I Glove You. I was thinking, that might have to go into the shop at some point because I really like that. All right, and then I also wanted to show y'all, I recently sent Michelle Browning some socks. So I didn't send her socks. I sent her yarn. She sent me back some socks that she cranked on her circular sock machine. So I haven't even had a chance to do anything with them, but I wanted to show them to y'all because they're so gorgeous. So she did, this is Sand Cherry is the main color on Trusty Sock, and then Cheer is the accent color. And she was the one who picked that out. I think at Distaff Day, I was like, what do you think, Michelle? What color would you pair with that for a pair of socks? And she's like, I think Cheer. I think she showed me a couple. She's like, I think this would go good. And since Cheer is on one of the other samples that I have, which means I'll probably keep it in stock, I was like, yeah, let's do Cheer. So love that. And then also Bloom Where You're Planted. I sent her that along with a berry. Berry goes with so many things. It's one of my absolute favorite colorways. So I sent her that. So that's Bloom Where You're Planted. Love the different blues and greens. You tend to not always see that in the skein. So yeah, so that's a beauty. And then this one you can't even get right now. But I know that I want to put it in the shop, which I just haven't had a chance to do. So I sent her a spare skein that I had from the pre-order, and that is an offer from a gentleman. Dun, dun, dun. How pretty is that? That purple and green go together so nicely. And I had her do heliotrope, which as the accent color. And I think this is one of those, it's good because on the website, I think heliotrope looks deeper and darker. It's kind of a hard color to photograph, but it's much more pale than what you see. So gorgeous color. Cannot wait to put that in the shop. Yeah, and I'll be one step ahead. I'll already have a sample for it. So thank you to Michelle. She does such a great job with those. And I love the little hung hem that she always gives me. So very cool. Bo says, I'd wear those. You could, but they're not made for your size. Which ones, honey, would you wear? Because maybe you'll get a pair. I'm guessing you mean these, the sand cherry. I can see that. I don't know. You'd probably wear these too, though. Bo is not overly picky. I mean, he likes his certain, he has certain things that he tends towards, but when I make him socks, he's not overly picky. He's very knitworthy. All of them. Ah, very nice. Yeah. Karen, that mini color would make a great sweater. Which one? Yes, I agree with you on all of them. Maybe cheer, is that the one you're talking about? Or we know berry would. So good. And then even heliotrope, that would be great. That would be, I have to think about that. I'm still choosing well, sort of. I thought I had chosen my colors for the summer top stitch along. But now, I think I still have I'll tell you later what my choices are. But anyway. So let's see. Bo says, oh, I glove you. Oh, is that what you meant, Karen? I glove you? Yes. Oh, yes. That would make it good. Okay. Moving on, let's see, what else did I want to tell y'all? Okay, so the March Fiber Challenge coming along nicely. I am loving all the socks that I'm seeing. One thing that I did want to say is if you post in the official thread that's, under basically the official post in the Swan City Stitchers Facebook group, great, no problem whatsoever. If you post elsewhere on social media, which I love for you to do because I think more people get to see it, which is always good. However, if you do that, don't forget to use the hashtag SCS March 2026. And that's how it is every month. It just changes the month. So like next month will be SCS April 2026. May, SCS May 2026. And the reason for that is when I go to pick the winner, that's how I have to search on Instagram and Facebook is by that hashtag. Because otherwise, if I just put in March Fiber Challenge, your post may or may not come up. So do me a favor and use the hashtag. And if I think about it, when I see your post referencing the Fiber Challenge, I'll put it in the comments. But I don't always think about it, or I may not even see it, especially if it wasn't tagged as Swan City Yarns. So if you use that hashtag, then you're good to go. Oh, yes, Karen, Bo was right. He's so good. All right, moving on. Okay, speaking of the March Fiber Challenge, since I've been gone for 2 weeks, there are quite a few projects. I won't out as beautiful as they are. I'm going to go through them. I will try not to take too long, but I got to tell you, there are some beauties in here that I was just like, whoa, wowza. So I'm sure you'll think so too. So let's go through our parade of projects, shall we? All right, first up, this beauty was posted by Cranky Sock Maker on Instagram, and she's got nautical wheelers in there. I think she used another color as well. I don't know if she striped it with something, but it's nautical wheelers in the main color, and then slate is what she used as the accent color. And we've been talking about one of the coolest things about nautical wheelers is that how the main color shows up when you use it as the main color, a lot of it depends on what you use as an accent color. Because if you use Cavendish, you see a lot more of the golds and the browns and even the greens that come out. If you use slate, then you see a lot more of the blues and all that. All right, moving on. This was made by Marjorie Mulla. This is her Bonnie Wee kerchief pattern, and she used Under the Mistletoe on Trusty DK, looking gorgeous. And then Jenny posted that she is making the same pattern using Purple Leaf Plum, and then she's got some vintage Carolyn colorways going on in there as well. Looking good, ladies, looking good. And then Jenny also posted this. She finished, hang on, I got to find my notes because I think I put my notes on this. Yeah. So this is the DRK Everyday Cardi, which is by Andrea Mowry. DRK is, what is it, Dre Renee Knits or something like that. But anyway, Andrea Mowry. It's her everyday cardi, and she used Out of the Mist as the main colorway, and then Peppermint Schnapps, she said, was her coordinating colorway. Gorgeous, darling, gorgeous. All right, Delilah Knits posted this. Is that right, Delilah? Yes. Yes. Okay, so what's cool about this, these are the Deep Shadow Socks by Isolde Teague. She's using Purple Leaf Plum and Lilac. And what I like, if you'll all remember, a couple weeks ago, I talked about this. Isolde Teague, I knew she had a video using the Deep Shadow Heel recipe, but she has a whole sock pattern for the Deep Shadow Heel, which is just taking a shadow wrap heel and making it deeper for people who have that, I guess, like a higher instep. And so they need a heel that sits deeper than the regular shadow wrap heel. I love the shadow wrap heel as is, but I'm tempted to knit the deep shadow wrap heel socks just so I can see how the technique differs. I'm assuming it's just a spin on the regular shadow wrap heel. Anyway, moving on. Did I tell y'all she's using Purple Leaf Plum as the main color, and then Lilac is the coordinating color. All right. Linda Frank is, I want to say that I've seen this pattern before. It's Linda or somebody else knit this one before. It is the Color Palette Socks by Laurel Knits, and she's using Sage Advice, and then also the Muted Magic mini set, which includes everything from Sifting Sands, First Bloom, Tea Leaves, Tough Love, and I think the lavender had a different name. I don't remember, but I didn't write it down. Anyway, they're gorgeous. So she's knitting that. And then she's also knitting, sorry, I was looking at the big socks, and so I got, it messed me up. They are stockings, Christmas stockings. Sorry, y'all. Someone is trying to call me, and I had my volume turned way up. Sorry about that. Okay. Can I? Yes, I can. Sorry about that. Okay. I'm not used to people calling me on a Friday afternoon. Actually, people don't call me in general. And if they do, my sound is typically turned off because I have the sensory, like if I get constant, like people texting or calling and I'm concentrating on something else, it just about puts me over the edge. So, but my laptop apparently doesn't have the notification silent. So sorry about that. All right. So I know that Linda's using a bunch of DK minis. I didn't get the names of all of them. But it looks like Stargazer in there, maybe Go Big or Go Home, a lot of pinks and aquas and all that. So beautiful. I love her color choices in here. All right, more socks. This was posted by Zebra Yarns over on Instagram. She's got, if you look down, I mean, it's a beautiful collection of socks that she has made. The bottom two on the lower right-hand side use Under the Mistletoe. And what I think is so cool, I didn't get a chance to ask her. If y'all notice, the one on the upper right looks like my sample that was cranked by Michelle. But if you look at the one on the bottom, look at how the green and the red speckles kind of did a semi-striping, which just goes to show, I am convinced, I once read that a colorway, if you have blocks of color that are less than 2 inches wide, then it's less likely to do pooling. I am convinced that any colorway that has any sort of repetition in color along the skein at the right circumference, and don't ask me the math because I don't know how to figure out the math, but at the right circumference, it's going to pool or stripe. So, and that's a beautiful example of that. So, hey, Sharon over on Instagram said, welcome to the streets of New York. Oh, you're out and about in New York, eh? I love it. New York in the spring. Sounds pretty cool to me. All right, this one is Mary Ellen. Did I skip? No, I did not. Okay, so Mary Ellen posted these. She's doing a pair of DK socks using, where did my notes for Mary Ellen's sock go? There it is. She's using a pair of DK weight socks using this combination that I love. She's got fluffy sock with on heliotrope and then dappled on trusty sock. So that is going to be a gorgeous, it's already a gorgeous sock, but it's going to be a very squishy pair of socks as well. So very nice. I love it when people combine those two bases and make a pair of socks. Yay! All right, this is Logan K Knits on Instagram posted this. She knit the Firth sweater, Firth, and she used it was a different green. She said it was a bottle green color, and she held with it a strand of purple leaf plum on fluffy lace, which that's what's giving it all of those different, you can see the different shades of green and purple and even some blue running through there. So, and I already know it's squishy sweater because she used fluffy lace. All right, and then Linda Koleric did another pair of Fleece Your Feet socks using After Midnight on trusty sock and Swan White on fluffy sock. So again, a very scrumptious, beautiful pair of socks. All right, Cherie of Rehash Fiber, if you've not ever checked out her podcast, you should. This is the Pollen Hat by Andrea Mowry, and she used Cavendish for that. Gorgeous. Gorgeous colorway, gorgeous hat. Love it. All right, this one I had to show you. So Brenda, the owner of Southern Twist Yarns in Alabama. So we first met her at the Alabama Fiber Fest back in November. And that was what got her wanting us to come to do a trunk show there. She bought a skein of berry on Fluffy DK, and she is knitting. Let me see if I can remember here. Well, I don't have to remember. I got my notes. Let's see. Where are my notes? Brenda. The Harvest Sweater by Jessie. I'm not sure, is it Made or Jessie Mead Designs? And she's got some other yarns in there. You can see she's got a navy and then a nice white going on. But look at those flowers in there that she's using berry on Fluffy DK. And what I love about this pattern and what she's doing with it is that the Fluffy DK is the only yarn in there that's got that fluffiness, which is beautiful. If you look at the pattern page for the Harvest Sweater, it doesn't have that. And so I love that she's using it like as it's kind of a textural, and then the bright pink of berries visual. It's just going to be a beautiful sweater. I'm so excited. I love it so much. I cannot wait to see it when she's done. It's going to be so good. I might have to do something like that. All right. Anne, she's our sock queen this week. She used these or made these using Hurricane Season and Silver Linings. I love the gray on gray. It's awesome. And they're even twinsies. I love them. I know normally I like more of the fraternal party socks, but these are amazing. Very distinguished. I think they might be for her husband, if I'm not mistaken. So they're perfect. And then she also posted these, and it's the main colorway there is Coming Up Pink, which is just so cute with those extra little speckles. This was an old Soxy U colorway. And she's paired it with Swan White and Pretty in Pink. So I love those so much. All right. I might have to bring that color back. I'm just saying. Oh, this one, again, I fell in love. So Michelle Goodrich cranked these out. She used neon at the North Pole and paired it with a highlighter mini. So it really brings out that green in there. I love it so much. She did such a good job. They're fabulous. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know. Can I swoon anymore? Yes, I can. Star made these, and oh, I love them so much. So she paired, she did the combo of fluffy sock and trusty sock, and she used the colorway No Limits on both of them. That is such a great colorway. If it weren't such a pain in the ass to dye, I would dye it more often, but it takes forever. But one of these days I'll dye up another batch of it because it's so good. I was like, oh, those socks. I need a pair. All right, moving on. Oh, love this. Cindy Harrison finished her, she posted a couple pictures and I think I snagged every single one, but then she posted a finished picture and I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll just be showing the finished picture. She used the sock blank fever pitch. It was a one of a kind a little while ago. And then she made a pair of look almost like shorty socks based loosely on the Evanesco pattern, she said. So very good. I love those. I love the purples and the pinks and all that good stuff. All right, now I've got two projects that I'm going to show with this same colorway. So Katrin posted these, and I hope I say this right. The sock pattern is Hypsulaisen Carouseli, which means, I think it means carousel socks. But if you're looking for, and I'll have it in the show notes, a link. If you're looking for it, if you look up carousel socks, you're going to come up with all other sorts of patterns. But so it's the Hypsulaisen Carouseli socks. And she used Shop Around the Corner as her main colorway. And then just this morning, I had to grab this, even though I didn't have time to put it on a whip background. But Sue posted these. And here she's paired this with Fox Books, is that bright reddish orange red. And then Side Oats Grandma is the green, which is an odd name, I know, but it's the name of a grass. So very good. That, by the way, those are Dying to Knit colorways. So nicely done, ladies. I think everything on here today was ladies. So nicely done, everyone. Such amazing projects. I mean, really, just. Oh, Katrin said they're Valeras. Why did I write down Katrin? Did you post them, Katrin? No, I think I knew that it was Valera because Valera sent me a message asking if I had any more of that colorway, which I didn't. I'm sorry, Valera. My apologies. I guess I had Katrin on the brain. I don't know. All right. So, do you want to see what I've been knitting? I'll show you. So here we go. First of all, this is I've got all these different strands coming from it, but this is what is this? My Frost Lines cardigan. I am so in love. I'm so excited. I'm ready to be done, not because I'm not liking knitting it, but just because I want to wear it. And I'm afraid by the time I get to wear it, it's going to be middle of summer and it's going to be hot. By the way, this was another purchase that I made at Southern Twist Yarns. So Brenda up at the front has this big glass bowl. And, like you go into a store and they have these little candies in a bowl and you can get them. And, well, she has all these just single stitch stoppers. And there are matching in there. So you can either choose two that match, or you can just choose random one-off stitch toppers. And she had so many different designs in there that I just had never seen. But I liked these two because they were both flowers, but, you know, slightly different. I just thought they were so cool. So I got those anyway. So yeah, so I'm on my first sleeve of two, which shouldn't take too long. It's going pretty quick. So I'm excited, but I still have to do the button bands, which I'm not going to do buttonholes, and I'm not sewing buttons on. So I'm excited about that. Oh, because that's what I'm going to use these for. I think it will look good, even though they're silver. I don't know. If not, then I'll just find another set. Because obviously you can probably never have too many buttons. So I'm excited about that. All right. And yeah, so that's my Frost Lines cardigan by Andrea Mowry. And then I also, you may have seen some pictures I posted on social media. Dun, dun, dun. My Swan Lake socks. So you've probably seen, I know we've talked about it before because I have the book. And I decided as soon as I finished my last pair of socks, I thought Bo would be harping on me to make him another pair of socks, but he didn't say anything. So I was like, okay. I think I'm going to cast on the Swan Lake socks. So I did. And I saw in the finished projects where, and we may have talked about, I don't remember that, you know, to make black swans. And I saw where somebody had used a variegated yarn in the back. So I'm using sprinkles and as the main color, and then Bodacious, which is very similar to Stargazer. But yeah, so I'm using a Bodacious mini. Oops, I was going to add some berry. Excuse me. Oh. Yarn everywhere. I was going to use some berry in there, but then I decided, nah, I already have a bunch of ends to weave in, so I didn't want to have to weave in more. Hang on, I'm dropping stitches. That's what happens when you don't use your stitch stoppers, right? Here we go. Get out of the way. And there we go. I got him. I captured him. All right, so anyway, yeah, so I'm very excited about these, and I'm almost done with the color work chart already. And then it'll just be, you know, finishing the leg. I think I might make the leg a little bit taller than what the pattern calls for, just because I like kind of longer socks. By the way, I'm curious what y'all, Linda Frank, I haven't seen her on here, but, but I meant to send Linda an email asking her what she thought of her, oh, what's the name of these needles that I bought? Darn it. I just talked about them last week. Does it say on here? No, it does not say on here. Brick House? Yeah, Brick House Fiber Arts, I think it is. These are the needles that they make themselves here in the United States. So these are their shorties, size 1, and they're square, which I like. They're very lightweight. They're lighter than the Chow Gu shorties. I mean, not that those are heavy. I don't know, when I have to be honest, when I first cast on, which sometimes this does happen, so I'm not sure, I have to pay better attention to the next sock. I was struggling at first to get the yarn to move around the needles the way I wanted, but I don't know if it was just me getting used to the needles because they feel a tiny bit different or what. I do know that at some point that completely went away, and now the stitches are just zooming around the needle. So I'm not sure what was going on there, to be honest. One thing about this pattern, and I don't know if Charlotte Stone does this with all of her color work socks, but on this particular pattern, she has you increase stitches before you start your color work. And I know that's one of the techniques that people will use when doing color work to avoid the stitches, you know, being too tight and all that. Another technique that people use is to use larger needles. They'll tell you to, you know, go to a larger needle size. She didn't have you switch needle sizes, but she did have you increase by like 16. For my size, I made the middle size, which is 64 stitches cast on. I increased up to 80 stitches. I went ahead and did it just because I hadn't knit any of her patterns before and I wasn't sure, at the time I didn't know for sure if that's what she was doing. But I noticed then after you're done with this color work, you decrease back down. And then I believe if I saw that on the toe, when you do the color work, there's another small color work section again. She has you increase again, which I'm not going to do. And I'll knit my second pair of sock or my second sock exactly like this one because I want them to match. But in the future, when I do her patterns, I don't think that I'll increase. I don't know. For some reason, and don't get me wrong, I have had one or two pairs of socks where my tensioning was off. And I was like, oh, that's too tight. But I've since learned that now as I'm knitting, I kind of will yank on it just to make sure that I didn't pull my tensioning too tight. So anyway, that's just something to note about the pattern that I don't know that I would make those increases again, but she does have you do that. So, all right, let's see. All right, Katrin, not that I remember. Okay, my fault. Imagine that. It must have been Bo's idea to do the black swans because he's saying it's a really good idea. And he also says, let's see, I always want more socks, but after the cardigan sleeve fiasco, I figured I'd leave you alone for a bit. Oh, so nice of you. And maybe you need to increase stitches to make the swans. Yeah, I guess. And I can certainly see, and who knows, maybe I'll be glad that I did once I'm done. But oh, that's an excellent point, Cindy B. The sock increases might simply be due to pattern stitch count. That's a very good point. I'm going to have to make sure, you're so smart. I'm going to have to make sure I check that before I do that last bit of color work at the end, because I might not have the right stitch count. That would be very like me to do that. It's a good thing I have you smart people on here to keep me in line. That's probably exactly what it is now that I think about it. Probably so. Probably so. All right. Now, let's talk about coming up next month is the Summer Top Stitch Along, which will also be our April Fiber Challenge. So you probably saw in the newsletter, or I think I did a post or two about it as well. I am going to make the Pier 39. You can see my pattern is kind of worn a little bit because I printed this out quite some time ago. I remember showing it to y'all saying, I want to make this pattern. So it was released last year. And yeah, it's a good summer top. So I wanted to mention, because someone had asked about what is the finished bust circumference. So, and apparently, I didn't even think about this. There are different ways to approach it. So I'll just tell you how I do it. So the finished bust circumference, that's the circumference of your final project that you should get if you have gauge when you're done. So how you can use that to determine your size is you measure your bust. And so like right now I'm at a 37. I think I've been anywhere from like a 36.5 all the way up to a 43. But right now at my fullest bust, I'm at 37 inches, right? And the recommended ease is 3 to 8 inches. So I look at that. Size 1 says you would end up, if you have gauge, you should end up with 39 inches. So if I'm at 37, end up with 39, that means I would only have 2 inches of positive ease. So since it's recommended 3 to 8, and because who knows, I might be knitting tighter. Although I have found that with Isabel Kramer patterns, she and I seem to be pretty in sync in terms of our knitting gauge, because I usually get right what I'm striving for with her patterns, which is, I really appreciate that. I'm sure that says more about my knitting, not hers. She's, I'm sure, got no issues with knitting tension and all that. So the second size is 42.5 inches would be the finished bust circumference. So if I'm at 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, that's 5.5 inches of positive ease, which falls right in the center of 3 to 8. Perfect. So I will knit a size 2. Ideally, I would knit a gauge swatch, but since, like I said, I've knit enough of her patterns, I think I'm just going to go with a size 2 and be done with it. Now, I did have someone ask me, do you measure at your fullest bust, or I think they said upper bust, which I hadn't thought about that. You know, that is a decent strategy that you can use if you think about it, because a lot of designers, they're not overly chesty. I don't know what it is. There are some that are, but a lot of our popular designers that we like to knit their patterns, they don't have a lot up here. And so, you know, they design these patterns and they look great in them. But somebody like me who's got a bigger bust will knit them. And then when I'm done, I've got this wide sweater that Bo said you're swimming in it. So I have started, pardon me while I tuck my shirt back in, I still measure, well, if you think about it, if you were to measure, use this bust circumference up here, you could probably get better fit down here, and you'd still have room for your bust because, you know, our fiber does stretch. So you could do something like that. What I have come to do is that a lot of times, I didn't do it on this one, obviously, but I'll do some side decreases down here on either side. And then that way it just pulls it in a little bit and it looks better. The finished project looks better if I don't want to tuck it in or something like that. So I hope that helps. Yeah. So waist shaping, exactly, or bust darts. Yep. So how you deal with it is up to you. Some people just don't knit tops. But there are obviously things that you can do. So anyway, oh, you want to know, I noticed, and so for anybody who ordered before or by Wednesday, I'll get your yarn shipped out. Bo and I are leaving on Wednesday for Texas, but I will get your yarn shipped out before we go. And then everybody else, as soon as we get back, I'll get it dyed up and get it sent to you. So I noticed that a lot of y'all chose your own colors, which is totally fine by me. Totally fine. I love that. I love it. Some of the combinations that you pick out. In fact, I decided to go with, I think, a different color combo. One of the ladies at Southern Twist ordered yarn. She's not doing this pattern. She's doing a different pattern using fluffy lace, but she's pairing Lily and Stargazer. And when I saw that, I was like, So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use Lily as my main color. And then those thin stripes, I'm going to use Stargazer, but I'm going to use it in fluffy lace, which will be perfect gauge-wise. So yeah, so you'll have Lily for the most part, but you'll have little pops of bright, happy Stargazer. And I didn't even realize until this morning, I was sitting in here and I was like, wait a minute, because I thought I was going to have to dye a skein of Stargazer for me, or well, not dye, I've already dyed it. Take one of the ones that's in the shop. But then I was like, wait a minute, I have Stargazer left over from one of my weekend hats. And so I'll just use this because I think I only need like 89 yards. More than 89 yards there. Perfect. So I'm so excited to start that. All right. Lonnie, it's cheaper for me just to buy. Yes, well, I think it's cheaper for everybody. And yeah, you can just knit baby sweaters for sure. All right. So what's in the shop? I haven't put any new color. Well, there are some colors on new bases that haven't been there before. So I've definitely, fluffy lace continues to be a bestseller. So I've been stocking up a bunch of fluffy lace, just a few are nautical wheelers on fluffy lace. and driftwood also. I mean, look at that gray and brown. That's that same brown as plum latte. You get some deep blue in there. That beautiful deep, almost burnt butter. I used a different combination of dyes, but it's that bright, deep orangey brown color. What I love about these is that they're so great, these two colorways specifically, because they're variegated. You pair them, hold one strand of them with a tonal solid, and it just creates these like specks of color. It almost looks like a colorway that's speckled. And then you have the added squishiness of the Surrey alpaca. I mean, my goodness. What more could you want? So anyway, there's others. Pretty in Pink has been put back in the shop. Stargazer, Cloud Dancer. There's a bunch. Field of Flowers, which, by the way, so I had Field of Flowers on Fluffy Lace before. Now it is also on Fluffy DK and on Fluffy Sock. And it's on Fluffy DK because there is an order going to, in fact, it's already on its way to the Common Thread with some of this. And also what's going to the Common Thread is this colorway on Fluffy DK, which is Sprinkles. I should have dyed up more on this for the shop because I know it's going to sell quick. But if you're local, you're going to want to check out the Common Thread next week because she's getting some good stuff. All right. Another thing, I promised Dying to Knit people that I would put some color or some skeins of Gemini back in the shop. And so I did. There's a few here and there across different bases that you can check out. There's a link in your newsletter that would go beautifully with your last Dying to Knit colorway, which I can't even remember the name of. I'm losing it. So yeah, so if you ordered, by the way, Little Blue Stem or Butterweed, I'll get those shipped out before we leave as well. So let's see. Lonnie, what's coming to East Texas Fiber Festival? Well, everything that I've got in the online shop is coming to East Texas with me. So yeah, I've got a lot of goodies actually. It's interesting. I think my inventory was down a little bit before we went to the trunk show last weekend. But after the trunk show last weekend, I was like, oh my goodness, I have got, I always try to make sure that the yarn that I have, that I'm using in samples, that I have actual, that colorway or those colorways in stock. Because a lot of times people will say, I want this color. And sometimes I don't want to do special orders. So, and I have certain colors that are more popular than others. And so I've just learned that those are the colorways that I need to keep stocked. Fluffy Lace, of course, being the number one base there. I kid you not. It just goes like that. All right, Donna. Okay, I'm headed to Common Thread. Yes, you're going to want to. She's got some goodies coming for sure. She's got some swanky DK and fluffy DK. Yeah. I just packaged it up and sent it out this morning and I was like, oh. So, all right, what else? Dying to Knit. If you would like to sign up, the next 3-month subscription is up. And you can get signed up. You can cancel at any time, of course. The one that if you sign up now, you're just signing up for the next 3 months, which is April, May, and June. The flowers that are the inspiration for those colorways have already been decided. I know we've got Pink Turtle Head, and I already did the posts, the events in the Facebook group. If you sign up, it's in your newsletter. I always find it laborious to explain Dying to Knit. basically, if you sign up for this subscription, you are signing up for your favorite base or a base that you want to get those 3 months, and the number of skeins that you want to receive. You don't know the actual colorway until it's revealed on the Dying to Knit evening, which is either the second or the first Thursday of the month. And then you get to see that being dyed up in the Facebook group. That evening, I dye it up, and then it gets sent out. And then I also always have some coordinating cousins that will pair nicely with it. And that way, if you have a project in mind and you want to order it, then you can. Let's see. Real quick, I do want an important announcement about subscriptions. So I'm not making any changes right now, but I'm just letting you all know so on my on most, as far as I know, most websites like mine, if the ability to offer subscription products isn't embedded into the website, like that's not one of the features they have for you. I don't know why it's not. In order to do that and to have the payment set up or whatever, automatic subscription and automatic payment, charging your account each month. In order to do that, I have to have a third-party app. And you can get third-party apps for just about anything. You can get a free one. You can get one that costs money. And so in this case, the subscription app that I have, I would say you get what you pay for, because it keeps glitching on me. And the biggest issue that I'm having with it is shipping costs. It doesn't automatically update shipping. So if the post office changes shipping prices, the app doesn't update. And unfortunately, what I'm most upset about is my super swans who have paid for a year of no shipping costs. When you put in your discount code, it's supposed to carry over each month when you get billed. And it's, for some reason, it's not doing it. And one of the issues that I have is that I think the tech support that they have, they're wonderful, they mean well, but I suspect English is not the first language. And so the few times that I've interacted with them, they do things that I'm like, that's not what I said. Why did you do that? So it's been easier if I can just go in the background and find a way to work around certain things. Anyway, it's becoming a bit of an enormous headache for me. So at some point, I'm going to have to cancel it and get a different app, which means I'm going to have to cancel everybody's subscriptions and have you sign back up again. So yeah. So the only reason I say that is that my latest issue, I think I discovered a workaround, which I'll find out next week if it did actually work when some of the billings go through. If it didn't, then I'm going to have to do it sooner rather than later, which I'm trying to avoid until things are not so hectic around here. So having said that, I'm just saying that if you get an email from me, or a couple of emails, one saying, oh, your subscription has been canceled, and then another email from me saying, here's a link, you need to sign up again if you, assuming you still want the subscription. If you get that, just be prepared that you know what's happening. I'm hoping I won't have to do it right away, like I said, because it's going to be a little bit time consuming, but yeah. If you see that, then that's why it's happening. All right, Lonnie, Dying to Knit, you get to see Carolyn work her magic and the first look at any coordinating cousins. That's true. And I do, I haven't had really any new colorways, brand new colorways. But anytime I do, I typically show my Dying to Knit people first. I'll go live in the group, and which you can watch at any time on Facebook and see what I've been up to. All right. A couple of things. So next week, I won't do a podcast again because Bo and I will be in Texas. And yeah, so Friday and Saturday we'll be at the East Texas Fiber Festival, which I'm super excited about. I've heard good things about it. So looking forward to that. Also, I don't know if I mentioned to y'all, I am doing a show in Virginia, not the same one I did last year, but I want to say it's in June, is the Virginia Fiber Fest. you can find that information is on the front page of my website. Also, brand new, I mean, it's not brand new. I was there last year. I have decided to do Kentucky Fiber Fest, and they decided that they wanted me to come. So at first I wasn't sure, and nothing to do with them at all. It's a great festival. The organizers are, wonderful to work with. So nothing on their part. It is a little bit outdoors, and my space is limited because I only have a 10 by 10 tent, and I'm not at this point willing to get a 10 by 20 tent. And then Bo is always a little iffy about being anywhere outdoors because of the weather. There are so many things to consider when you're outdoors. Plus you got the travel. So if weather suddenly turns nasty, then it's like, oh boy. So it was just something to think about. But I decided that we're doing Kentucky this year. So that's in May, mid-May, right? Smack dab in the middle of May. So yeah, I think that's it. Okay. So because Bo and I are leaving Wednesday, the online shop will remain open until it'll close Friday and Saturday, just the days of the festival. Shipping will be on hold. I finally figured out how to make a big banner on the website. So if you have any questions about shipping, just look at the front page and it'll let you know that shipping is on hold until, whenever. So I think it'll be Wednesday through Sunday or something like that. But yeah, so I think that's it. Did I forget anything? I don't think so. You can still order kits for either Pier 39, that pattern, or if there's another summer top that you want to do, you're welcome to email me. If you need help with color or anything like that, just let me know. All right, I'll be around. So if you need me, you can just email me at carolyn@swancityarns.com. Thank you all so much for joining me. As always, I appreciate it. And yeah, I hope that your spring is looking pretty good. And we'll see you next time. So in 2 weeks, right back here. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.